Welcome, everybody, back to Real Life with Richard. This is episode 3, and I immediately thought about it after I completed episode 2, Fundamental, which was intended to be a fun play on words, the fundamentals, but talking about mental health or some mental health issues or concerns or struggles I have. And I said I really didn't know what it was called, but I thought about it after the episode. But being an introvert, basically, we are all categorized in two big pools: introverts, extroverts. And often when I tell people I'm introverted, they either think I'm teasing or they don't believe it, or fundamentally they don't really understand what being an introvert means. And ironically enough, I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, doing a workshop. I was one of two speakers. The second speaker that got up gave the definition I had waited my entire life to hear: a breakdown of introverts versus extroverts. And basically, what he said was, you know, you are an introvert or an extrovert where you recharge, where you draw your energy from. If you're the life of the party, if you're in the midst of people and they energize you, you're an extrovert. But if you're the type person that needs solitude to draw away, a measure of isolation for a period of time, just solitude, just as I said it in the other episode, QT with ME, just quality time with yourself, you are an introvert. Being an introvert often gets misconstrued, in my opinion, or from my observation, with being shy. I have never been shy to the best of my ability. And people talk about getting their start in the church. Uh, I give a shout out to Miss Geneva Patterson as my first speech coach. And as far back as I can remember, growing up at St. James United Methodist Church, during the speeches. So I've been standing up in front of audience of people delivering speeches, recitation of poems in some form of fashion my entire life. So I've never been stage shy, never been shy, always been fairly comfortable even approaching or interacting with people to mix and mingle or introduce myself. I am perfectly comfortable standing on stage. Quite frankly, the larger the audience, the better. But many of the hats I've worn over the years, of course, most recently being a pastor, being a comedian, short life lived as a rapper, but I did try my hand at that as well. I've danced on stage, but even at 53 years old and at this stage in my life, it's a real struggle for me if I don't have periods where I could just be by myself, completely by myself. And being married now, it poses additional challenges. When my wife and I were dating, call it going dark. Of course, we were not living together at the time, and I could see how unsettling it could be now. But I would just I say fall off the grid. But of course, just taking time alone to recharge and wouldn't wouldn't answer uh, my phone, and a lot of times I would even have it on vibrator silent, and sometimes I wouldn't even look at it because I knew I needed to unplug and have that break. We were coming off the holidays, and even here in central Mississippi, with the recent cold weather, we've been, excuse me, we've been iced in, if you will, um, from Sunday evening until Thursday. We were iced in and going outside for brief periods of time, but it was advised and not safe to drive on the road. So I was largely home. In the space that I am at this stage of my life, I'm still trying to figure out what that healthy balance is of letting others in, sharing parts of my life, yet at the same time being okay, not being okay, but also being okay just to be alone, just to heal again. There are times where I feel like I just need time to think. I need time to think about what I'm thinking about. And if I have to explain what I'm thinking about, it interrupts my thought process, for lack of better terms. But that is the best way I can explain it. And I didn't want to leave that last episode just hanging there without uh, bringing it into focus. And not to mention, I don't want to suffer the analysis paralysis, but there are times where I am analytical. I am an IT professional. I've been a technologist long enough to retire from approximately a 27-year career in public service before going back to work in the private sector. And being analytical, I think about a lot of things to process. And even that, I come up with solutions or ideals and work out complex problems to provide simplistic solutions to them in that time alone. So then, what do you do to cope? I try to internalize. That's really tough at this stage of my life. I have a 5 year old. So my little girl is very engaging. She is a she has great ideas and bright ideas, and she wants to share. So sometimes when we're together, entertaining um, her energy, we all hands on deck. So it takes a great deal of focus. But one of the things I would say, and I'll add this as I near closing this particular episode, I have learned to make the most in concentrated situations. If it's something as simple as taking a shower and just really taking it in, breathing and allowing the water just to drip off my face. Another one is most mornings I get up between 5:15 and 5:30. That's my quote unquote quiet time. As precious as sleep is for me, I'm one of these people that I, I I'm almost dysfunctional. I can hardly function without the proper amount of rest and sleep. Amount of sleep. I'll make a point to address that too. As my friend Pancho say, there's a difference in rest and sleep and restful sleep, because you can sleep and not rest and wake up tired. But that's a discussion for another day. But I will forfeit much needed rest at times to get up earlier just to have quiet time and time to think. And here is my favorite and best form of rest. This is all I got, but this is what I've come up with. One of my wife's questions over the years is, "What do you want? What do you want?" And as selfish and as self-centered as this response is, but when I'm answering holistically and honestly, I want to do what I want to do. And what I mean by that is, I've often told her that rest for me is not the absence of work. What I'm doing now, this is restful because this is what I want to do. I love being a content creator, and although it does take a measure of work to get to this, it's not work when I'm choosing to do it. It's work when it's being pushed upon me or demanded upon me, and akin to or likewise, even in the space of being introverted. I like helping people. I like sharing, even being transparent and vulnerable and talking about my own struggles and the fundamentals, part two. Mental health challenges. In sessions with my therapist, like, how do you cope? And I told him, I can compartmentalize almost to a fault. When I was actively pastoring, when I stepped on the platform, when I made it to the church, all I thought about was what I need to do between here. When I was in my first career as an IT professional, when I showed up at work, this is what I think about. When I drive home and I get out of the car, I don't think about work. And I keep saying I'll give a reason eventually why I even stepped down from pastoring in this season of my life. But when I got home, I believe in practicing being present. But the challenge and the struggle comes in when I need that isolation, when I need to pull away, and it's hard to internalize in spaces where I'm sharing space where I can't physically be by myself. And I discussed the part in the last episode about being lonely in a crowd. I'll let you all in on a secret. If you've ever heard any of my sermons, chances are they were written at Fusion Coffee House or in a delicatessen or somewhere like that. It's just white noise. Like the hustle and bustle and all that going on around is, as long as you're not talking to me or engaging me, it's white noise. In fact, I'm one of these people. It's hard for me to concentrate with complete silence. I do love the mountains, but I don't need to so much be by myself as I just need to be disengaged. As long as I'm allowed to put my head down and think, a measure of white noise is healthy for me. I certainly hope this has been helpful or beneficial to someone. I plan to keep recording, keep providing new insights, new perspective, new episodes. And if you found this helpful in any way, or if you want to support me, by all means, the best way right now is to subscribe to the podcast feed, to the channel if you're looking on YouTube, and share this with others and help me grow my listenership. And I'll include in the feeds eventually ways that you can financially support too, if you like, because I do have to pay for several of the services I have. And currently I'm self-sponsored. I have no sponsorship. I'm paying completely out of my pocket. Everything I have, I'm paying for me. So thanks for listening to Real Life with Richard. I'm Richard L. Scott. God bless, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.